The smartest thing the Nazis did was they made it so that at every step of the way, it was in the Jews' rational best interest to not resist. Yeah. Would you rather get an ID card, or would you rather resist and possibly get killed? You want to move to a ghetto, or do you want to resist and possibly get killed? Do you want to get on a cattle car, or do you want to resist and possibly get killed? Do you want to take a shower, or do you want to resist and possibly get killed? At every step of the way, it was in their rational best interest to not resist. But I'll tell you something very important, which is the Jews who participated in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising had a higher rate of survival than those who went along. The Jews who participated in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising had a higher rate of survival than those who went along. The Jews who participated in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising had a higher rate of survival than those who went along.
Take the streets!
Don't stop there. Keep that in mind over the next 10 years. Part of the reason that my mother stayed with my father was because there weren't battered women's shelters in the 50s and 60s. But another part of the reason that she stayed with him was because of the false hope that he would change. And false hopes bind us to unlivable situations, and they blind us to real possibilities. Does anybody really think that Weyerhaeuser is going to stop deforesting because we ask nicely? Does anybody really think that Monsanto is going to stop Monsantoing because we ask nicely? Some Democrats brought me to a talk somewhere, and God, it was so funny. It was close to home, so my mom came along, and it was so funny. They asked me, "So what are you going to talk about tonight?" And I said, they had dinner for me beforehand, and they said, "What are you going to talk about tonight?" I said, "I'm talking about bringing down civilization." It's like dead silence. And then later on, during the dinner, one of the people saying, "God, if we can just take over if we can just get a Democrat in the White House, things are going to be okay. And if we can just take over the House and the Senate, things will be okay." I'm thinking, yeah, I wouldn't mind taking over the House and Senate, but I mean it differently than you do. It's a joke, Mr. Gonzalez. Put away the electrodes. Anyway, so they're saying all this about, if we could just take over the House and the Senate. And my mom said, the Democrats are just as controlled by corporations as the Republicans are. And it was so funny because it was just like my mom had just hiked up a cheek and farted. Because they, it's silence, and then noses are wrinkling, and then finally somebody says, "Could you please pass the hummus? It's really delicious." So what are the false hopes that keep us bound to the system? I mean, it's like Zygmunt Bauman said about World War II in his great book, Modernity and the Holocaust. He said in there that rational people will go quietly, meekly into a gas chamber if only allow them to believe it's a bathroom. And I would say that rational people will go quietly, meekly to the end of the world if only you allow them to believe that recycling is going to make a difference. So what are the false hopes that keep us bound to the system? What are the false hopes that keep you chained? But the problem isn't just false hopes, but they're hope. It's hope itself. What is hope? I was bashing hope a few years ago, and somebody in the audience shouted out, what is hope? And it's like, I got no idea. I've been bashing it for years. I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I asked the audience, what's your definition of hope? And the definition they came up with is great, which is, hope is a longing for a future condition over which you have no agency. Hope is a longing for a future condition over which you have no agency. I mean, that's how we use it in everyday language. I mean, I don't hope that I eat something else tonight, because I'm kind of hungry. I mean, I know men are supposed to be afraid of commitment, but I'm going to just say this in public, that I am going to eat tonight. In fact, I don't even need to commit to it. I'm just going to do it. On the other hand, the next time I get on a plane, I hope it doesn't crash, because once I'm in the air, I have no agency. The point is that when we say, I hope that coho salmon survive, what we're saying is I have no power. I have no agency. What salmon need to survive? It's very, very simple. Salmon need 6 things to survive. They need for dams to be removed. They need for industrial logging to stop, industrial fishing to stop. They need for the oceans not to be murdered. They need for global warming to stop, which means that they need for the industrial economy to stop and the oil economy to stop. And they need for industrial agriculture to stop because of runoff. Those are all straightforward technical tasks. I didn't say they're not daunting, but they're straightforward technical tasks. When people say, gosh, how can we save the salmon? Well, it's real easy. What is impossible is to save the salmon and keep dams, industrial logging, industrial fishing. That is not possible. And so, once again, okay, if I say I hope the salmon survive, what I'm saying is I have no power. I do not hope that coho salmon survive. I will do whatever it takes to make sure the dominant culture doesn't drive them extinct. If they want to go because they don't like how they're being treated and so they want to go away, I will say goodbye and I will miss them. But if they do not want to go away, I will not allow the dominant culture to drive them extinct. I will do whatever it takes